Hi, I'm Tom Rako, and I have with me Goodness. His legal name is Guardrail Ebony Arrow, and he is a 6-month-old, 1 week old American bred English pointer. He's a great grandson of a famous dog that died clear back in 1984. That dog's name was Guardrail, and so this is his great grandson. Um, Thanks to things like frozen semen and stuff like that, we're able to preserve some of Guardrail for quite a while. You know, this bell is something very handy for the bird hunter. Now, I used to use bells, and the only problem is I found is when the bell stopped ringing, the dog was on point, but it was a pretty big area to try and figure out where the dog was. And I actually have tripped over my dogs at different times in the past. But this bell helps a hunter know how far out the dog is, if the dog is still moving, and if it's starting to get out of range or starting to head the wrong way towards a road or something like that, you can call him back in. Another handy thing, hey, gotta stay here, Bugs. Another handy thing is the beeper collar. And if you're not familiar with this, and the beeper collar works. You can use it to locate where the dog is, where you hit it once. You can also have it running all the time, which I don't do that, but you can also set it so that when the dog stops, sometimes it stops to go to the bathroom or something like that, or smell something a little more, stops for like 7 seconds, it'll start beeping. Hey, gotta sit here, buddy. Gotta be my good boy here today, okay? Gotta be my good boy. Um, but it allows you to know where the dog is at. And do you know that God knows exactly where you are? Our first parents, they sinned and they tried to hide from God. And in Genesis 3, God was walking in the garden. He knew exactly where they were at, but he says, where are you? And yet he knew where they were, but he wanted them to realize where they were, that they were separated from him in their relationship. I think of how in Exodus chapter 3, verse 4, Moses was on the backside of a desert. He must have felt like a total failure. Here he'd been groomed in Pharaoh's court, and then he ended up committing murder and he fled. And for 40 years, he was on the backside of that desert, herding his father in law's sheep. And here he was in this isolated place, but God knew right where he was, and God had a plan for him. And there was a bush that was burning, but it was not consumed. And Moses turned aside to see what was happening. And when God saw they turned aside, God spoke to him. And God called to him from the bush, Moses, Moses. He knew him by name. In Psalm 139, verse 15, David said, my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. He says, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. God saw when he was being formed in his mother's womb. In fact, Psalm 139, 16a, your eyes saw my unformed body. You know, even before he was formed, God saw him. And God sees you right now. Proverbs 15:3 says, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. God sees everything. He knows everything. Nothing is hidden from him. All things are naked and opened unto the eyes of him to whom we must give an account. And Psalm 94:9, the psalmist says, does he who fashioned the ear not hear? Does he who formed the eye not see? You think of how God has made the white-tailed deer that can hear so well, or the mule deer, and or the turkey. And God, who created those ears, he hears. The God who formed the eye. Think of the great bald eagle sitting up in some tree, and I've seen this happen, where on the Wisconsin River, here this bald eagle is way over across on a branch, and then suddenly it goes flying and scoops a fish out of the water. I think save God, who made that bald eagle that can see so well, sees you, and he knows all about you. He's not looking at you with eyes of great judgment. He's looking at you with eyes of great kindness. I think of how Jeremiah, he was called to speak, and he said, I can't do that. but a child. And God says, you're going to go to the places I tell you. You're going to speak what I want you to speak. And God said, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you and appointed you as a prophet to the nations. And so God had a plan for Jeremiah, and he's got a plan for you. He's got a plan for goodness here, and goodness is coming along great. Pointing birds, climbed the ladder a few times, and just has brought me a lot of pleasure already. Even though he's still in the training process, he has great potential. I love looking at him. And friend, God loves looking at you. You are as beautiful as English pointers are to a person like me. How much more beautiful are you to the eyes in the eyes of God? You know, you are made in His image, and you're precious to Him. Well, thanks for joining us, and I think you're seeing. Oh, you're about ready to start backing, huh? Oh, yeah, that's your grandpa up there. Yep, and actually, uh, that's another son of Guardrail there that Latte is out of Ivory Arrow. But thanks for joining us, and I hope that you learned something about the beeper and the bell, why we use them, and maybe it'll come in handy and to help you as well.